Here's more wrestling news for May 2nd, 2023, and we're starting off with CM Punk, who certainly made a stir last week when he attended two wrestling events, neither of which being AEW. After visiting Raw on Monday and seeing some old friends before being asked to leave, Punk remained in Chicago so he could attend the latest Impact Wrestling tapings. But what exactly happened backstage? According to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, Punk received a warm welcome in Impact, just as he did from the WWE roster, and ended up playing the card game Uno with some on the roster. It was also reported that Punk spoke with over a dozen Impact wrestlers and exchanged pleasantries while there, and was said to be especially complimentary to a couple of wrestlers, though it's unknown which ones exactly. Everyone who interacted with Punk and spoke to Fightful said that he was pleasant, in a good mood, and happy to be there, a far cry from the perception of a broken, bitter wrestler that many fans have had since All Out. While Punk was at Impact, it was noted that there are no plans in the works for him to appear on screen, as fans will have to wait for the rumored AEW Collision premiere this June to see him back on their screens. For close to 1,000 days, Roman Reigns has dominated as WWE's Universal Champion, and there's very few credible names that have yet to challenge the Tribal Chief. One of the names on that short list is AJ Styles, and after returning on last week's SmackDown, it was reported by some that the Phenomenal One will be Reigns' next feud. When Ringside News asked around, though, they were told that Styles isn't going to be next, and that the former TNA World Champion is not even close to an accurate guess. Like Reigns, Styles was drafted to SmackDown last weekend, and while he is no stranger to championship gold, a third world title reign in WWE won't come at the expense of Roman Reigns. With Styles out of the picture, the list of potential opponents has grown shorter, though after night one of the draft, Bobby Lashley made it clear via tweet that he wants to challenge the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. With WWE wanting to seriously enforce the brand split, there will soon be half the amount of potential opponents for Reigns, who is getting closer and closer to an impressive 1,000 days as champion. With AJ Styles not being Reigns' next opponent, the obvious question now is simple: who is going to be standing up to the Tribal Chief? We mentioned already that Bobby Lashley has shown interest in facing Reigns, but the Almighty may have to wait before a certain WWE veteran is done. During this week's Raw, Matt Riddle got an impactful win over Jimmy Uso, and like we've seen in previous weeks, gave nods to his days teaming with Randy Orton and their run as RK Bro. According to sources within WWE, Orton's recovery from his back injury is getting increasingly quicker, and while there was a time when some feared he'd be forced to retire, his return to TV could theoretically be any time now. Having Orton face off with Reigns would make a lot of sense, given that this match was the plan for SummerSlam 2022, but when Orton's injury proved to be worse than expected, the match was nixed and Orton was replaced with Brock Lesnar. If Orton is ready for it, his return could be as soon as this weekend's Backlash PLE in Puerto Rico, where Riddle will team with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn to face the Bloodlines, Usos, and Solo Sikoa. Orton has been out of action for close to a year, and his most recent match saw him and Riddle lose to the Usos, but now the Viper could be on the cusp of his return and his long-awaited feud with the Tribal Chief. We've got some news from Carmella now, who hasn't competed for WWE in close to 2 months, with her most recent match being at a March 2023 live event. Now we know that fans shouldn't expect the Staten Island Princess back in the ring anytime soon, but for a fantastic reason. While speaking to Good Morning America, Carmella revealed that she is pregnant and spoke about the process after suffering a miscarriage last year. She said, "It's just all been such a whirlwind. I think because of my past, it was hard to get excited off the bat about this one, but I was cautiously optimistic. I try to have a good mindset, a positive mindset this time around, and it's working, so I'm very happy about that." On Instagram, Carmella said that her and Graves' first child together is due this November, which explains why she hasn't been in the ring as of late. Carmella has spoken openly about how difficult what happened last year was and her drive to become a mother, and we'd like to offer our congrats to both her and Graves on this joyous occasion. Last month, Chavo Guerrero had scathing comments about Rey Mysterio and claimed that the masked icon and others had been prostituting the legacy of Eddie Guerrero for their own benefit. After Chavo's comments earned considerable backlash, the former ECW champion claimed that he was merely playing a role and feuding with Rey, a claim that the majority of fans didn't buy. It's been over a decade and a half since Rey and Chavo actually wrestled, but when speaking to Sportskeeda, Chavo reiterated his claim that his comments were just in jest. He explained, "After that was done, I said, now let me show you how this could really play out. I text Rey, I told him real quick, I said, hey, it's not real heat, I'm not mad, just a work." He jokingly texted back, said, "Yeah, I was wondering, what did I ever do to him?" And we had a little quick laugh about it. So I said, okay, anything I say from then on, just disregard it. Rey hasn't publicly responded to Chavo's initial comments, but he quickly learned that it was just a character, and to be fair, WWE have never shied away from bringing up Eddie when Rey is on TV. In fact, WWE's use of Eddie's death to push Rey as a main eventer in 2006 would be dubbed Eddie-sploitation, and while Chavo did have some harsh words about Rey, they were never meant to be taken seriously. Over to AEW now, as Leva Bates has been working with the company since the very start, and in addition to working on screen, has also been working in an office role behind the scenes. Now fans won't be seeing Bates either on AEW programming or working backstage, as she is no longer with the company. On Twitter, Bates said their 4 years with AEW have been quite a ride, and expressed her love for all the crew, staff, and talent who make AEW happen. Bates didn't go into specific reasons for her exit, only stating that after giving her time, focus, and effort to the company, it's now time to focus on herself, her future, and her career. We'll have to see where Leva Bates ends up next, and fans will remember her time as Blue Pants in WWE NXT, and she also has made her name for herself in various smaller promotions. Interestingly, several AEW contracts are said to be up this year, as well as some in early 2024, so while Bates, an AEW original, has parted ways with Tony Khan's first promotion, she could be the first of several in the coming months. One name fans can still see on AEW TV is Saraya, who has been wrestling since her childhood and recently decided to reflect on her journey in wrestling. On Twitter, the AEW star shared a throwback photo of herself as a teenager from when she first started wrestling, and while many fans enjoyed seeing this glimpse into her past, some reacted in a far less favorable way. In a follow-up tweet, Saraya said she was absolutely disgusted by some of the responses she had seen to her photo, with some fans sharing their attraction to the underage, future AEW wrestler. Saraya has always had a somewhat mixed relationship with fans, as some caused havoc for her mental health after explicit photos of hers were spread without her consent, and we hope that the British star is able to avoid the interaction some fans gave her photo this week. Draft news now, as one of the most interesting picks during Night 1 saw NXT Women's Tag Team Champions Alba Fyre and Isla be selected by SmackDown, bringing their reign as champions into question. Fans were shocked to see the two superstars be moved to the blue brand, and it turns out that Fyre and Dawn didn't see it coming either. Speaking during the latest episode of Busted Open Radio, Fyre said that they had no idea that they were going to be drafted, and said that being picked was a sign that WWE appreciates their efforts. Isla Dawn added that being drafted was such a surprise, as they have only been teaming together for a relatively short amount of time, and it remains to be seen if they'll stay together on SmackDown. As for the team's more immediate future, we know that they will be defending the NXT Women's Tag titles tonight against Katana Chance and Kaden Carter, but with the challengers being drafted to Raw, it'll be interesting to see which team leaves with the gold. For over a month, Bray Wyatt's been missing from WWE TV due to an illness, and there's been no references to him or Uncle Howdy on TV. As many expected, the pair, alongside Alexa Bliss, went undrafted over the past week's activities, but now there is a huge sign that his return is imminent. On the latest episode of the Oh You Didn't Know podcast, Jesse James said that WWE has typically had one writer whose job it is to work on Bray's promo, and revealed that they've just hired a new writer for Wyatt. It's been reported that Wyatt was never going to be ready for WrestleMania, as some had predicted, as during WrestleMania week, the former Universal Champion was dealing with the worst of his illness. Now Bray is said to be past the worst of things, and has been telling those close to him that he's excited for his return. And with WWE hiring a writer just for him in recent days, that return could be coming very soon. And we're ending today with WWE, who traveled to Cardiff, Wales to host Clash of the Castle last September, and later this year will make the trip to London for the annual Money in the Bank event. When you factor in the Saudi Arabia events, WWE has become more open to hosting major events outside of North America, and is Paris, France next on the company's list? That'll be the case if Bayley gets her way, as after competing at the Accor Arena at a live event, she tweeted that WWE needs to run a premium live event or TV taping at the French capital. After the event, producer Shane Helms said that the city is now in the convo for best wrestling crowds ever, so WWE could be saying wee wee to a PLE in the city one day.